Hey guys, I'm here with Noodlez, and we are going to be going over his Despia deck profile. This is the deck he took to the recent Tulsa Regionals. So let's get into it.
So this is what I took to the Tulsa Regional on June 4th. I'll be going over my matchups and my record at the end of the video. But for the main profile, I'm playing Albaz branded Albaz. And I really liked the deck as it went through. So 3 Aluber, 3 Albaz, very standard since I'm running like just the branded Albaz package like deck. You want to run 3 of each because he gets you your spells, and if Albaz ever actually comes up, every time I was able to normal summon Albaz for his effect got negated. I played against a DD guy, and one of his cards just like stole my monster. And another time they just like effect evaded him. So both times I was able to normal him, my effect got negated.
Would you say that was detrimental, or do you think it was good bait?
It was very detrimental, like, because whenever I would summon it, like, I really needed it to go off.
Yeah.
I didn't have like a branded fusion or anything, and I was really banking on being able to fuse with one of their problem monsters.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
I gotcha.
So it was very detrimental, but like if you can get it off, it's very good. So just more of the Despia stuff. I ran 3 Tragedy. I really liked 3 Tragedy. I tried to play 2 Tragedy and 1 Comedy, and I just didn't like the comedies. Alternatively, I could have just ran 3 Tragedy and 1 Comedy, but I didn't really like the comedy at all. And whenever I ran 2 and 1, every time I seen the comedy, I just was like, man, if this was a Tragedy, this would be really cool. I just loved dumping it, discarding it off of, Albaz or the Fright for package. Not the Fright for package, but dumping it with branded fusion. Just anything that lets you like discard, or like banishing it off of a Lord of Darkness or branded in red, because you can just get it back from the graveyard with it and then banish it. For other Despia monsters, I ran Dramaturge to help push for damage. It was very nice. It did come up a lot. Not so much the if I fusion summon part, where I get to, what is it? I can target an effect monster and negate its effects. That never came up. But that has to be whenever he's already on the field and I fusion summon, is when he gets that effect, and that just never came up.
It's a big boy.
But what did come up is just using him as fusion material, whether it's like with polymerization normally, and just getting him like or branded in red. Because I did some shenanigans where I would fuse Albaz and Dramaturge with branded fusion, and then I would branded in red him back, and then I'd get him back on the board. So that would make like a Mirror Jade and a Masquerade with him, and that would help push for damage because he's just a big beat stick. So it's very nice. And I also played the one ad libitum to get back any Despia monster, which I don't think I actually was able to use him the whole event, but he's really good. You use him as fusion material, and then he gets back one of your Despia monsters from grave. He special summons them back, so he's really good. I ran the 1 Tri-Brigade Mercarier. I opened him up like once, and other than that, I never really seen him. I know a lot of people play more than 1, but I was just trying 1 out, and that's what I've been playtesting with. I have seen builds that run 3 to like really max out on trying to get his banish effect off, but I just ran 1 because I didn't think he was like super useful, and I never really used him for his discard to negate effect. I did run the 1 Albion, and every time I would draw him, he was super good. I really like using him. I've seen people use 2, and I just don't know if like 2 is a good call. 2 might be a good call. I haven't really played with it, but having 1 and being able to put him back in the deck, put him at the bottom of the deck, dump say branded sword, because that's normally what people do, or being able to dump branded opening to use branded opening's banish effect, or just to be able to dump a card that you don't really want to draw. So and then you draw one if he's in your hand when you do that. So he's really nice because he just essentially replaces himself and he thins the deck. The 3 not Frightfur, but Edge Imp chains. I really liked playing 3 of because normally I would like open one, and I would never open like a patchwork. I would always open chain, and I would have to get chain out of my hand somehow to search a patchwork.
Did you like the Frightfur engine?
Oh, dude, the Frightfur engine is literally what won me games in testing and at the event with being able to get poly to hand with a dark. So it's really, really strong in this deck. And I ran the 1 snow. It never came up, unfortunately. And then I run 3 ash. This is my only hand trap, other than Called By.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the spells, I ran the 3 fusion, 3 opening. I was activating this in standby phase a lot, just play around effect veilers. 3 branded and reds. And then I ran the filled spell, the theater. I really didn't like this one at all. I never used it. It's really good in theory because it is a polymerization, but I never used it. I would side it out or I would discard it off of something. Branded Loss, which is really nice. It definitely did help whenever I would draw it or if I was able to search it. Being able to say, oh no, you can't negate my stuff. You can't negate my fusions. The 3 patchwork. Some people play 2 patchwork because you can only resolve 2, but I really wanted to see patchwork in my opening hand, so I opted to play 3. And if I ever got to a 3rd one, I would just discard it off something. So I don't think it was ever an issue.
Yeah.
Playing 3. I don't know if I would move it down to 2 in the future. I'd have to do more testing, but 3 right now, I really enjoyed it. And then of course the 2 polymerizations to match. Solid. And then I did main 3 super polymerizations, so this is something that I was discarding cards with a lot, if need be. Whether it was to fuse my opponent's monsters or just to fuse mine for game. Super solid.
Yeah.
Then I also ran the 3 Allure of Darkness because you can banish the Mercarier, which is why people play more of it, and you get pluses off that, or you can banish a Tragedy and you can get a plus off that, or you can just banish literally anything to try to fix your hand. And then I ran Foolish. I think a lot of people have been cutting this out, but I really like it because it unbricks my hand a lot of the time because I Foolish Tragedy to proc Tragedy, and then that gets me a Luber. And then for the trap, I run the 1 Branded Sword. I actually did use this effect, the non-banish effect, to summon out 3 tokens.
Oh, dang.
And each token has 2,500. My opponent couldn't get around them for like a good while.
Definitely came in clutch.
So it definitely came in clutch. I know people always talk about the banish effect on it, and not so much the effect that you can banish any number of branded spells or traps in your grave, and you get a 25 token for each of them. 25 2K, my bad. Token for each of them, which is really nice. I only banished 3. So it definitely did come in very clutch. This is only a 45 card main deck.
Okay.
Pretty fat. It's double sleeved.
Yeah.
But that's the main deck. Onto the extra deck. I ran the Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. It did come up whenever I was sending it off of Mirror Jade, like once or twice.
Yeah. Search that. Search that Albaz.
Searching Albaz, pretty good. It gave me some follow up depending on what I was playing against, and then the to Albion. It was really nice. I don't think I ever really made it. It's good. I didn't make it, but it's also good to dump off Mirror Jade because you can set a Branded in red or an opening. Normally, I just set Branded in red so I can make another fusion on their turn.
Yeah.
Or on my following turn, I guess, since I'm sending it off of Mirror Jade. The 2 Lubellion for Mirror Jade, 2 Mirror Jade, and then I also ran the Abyss Dragon. I never made him. I picked him up right before the event, and I decided to use him Unfortunately, I just never made them. And then I ran the Quattros, which also came in clutch, because if you're facing a non-fusion deck, which I faced exclusively non-fusion decks except for the very last round, it makes their attack 0, so you can just beat over them really easy. And then Double Masquerade, which is like hopefully the turn 1 play, is a Double Masquerade with a Mirror Jade, or at least 1 Mirror Jade and 1 Masquerade. Very nice, helps burn. I've definitely had it to where people couldn't activate anything because they paid too many life points and they couldn't get around it. The Starving Venom Dragon for Super Poly, and a Dregas to Paleo also for Super Poly. They both came up. I do know that some people haven't been using Starving Venom, but I don't all the time have a fusion monster I would want to give up for this. So I think just having 2 darks in some cases is better than having a fusion monster and a dark. Because I would rather use my opponent's monsters to make Starving Venom than one of my monsters and one of their monsters. Even though this can negate your opponent's monster effect by giving it a counter.
Have you ever thought about Mud Dragon of the Swamp?
No.
He is just 2 attributes, 2 of the same attribute. So, might be something to consider.
Might be. And then for the final 2, I just 2 Guardian Chimera, which did come up. I don't think I ever needed a second one, but in theory, the second one is really good.
Yeah, good card. Alright, 15.
So 15.
Alrighty, let's get into the side.
Let's get into the side. Token collectors, because I expected to play a lot of Sword Soul, but I never ran into them, so I never sided them in. 2 Nibiru's. Obviously, really nice card. And then I ran the Necro Banshee and the Zombie World, which I did side in. Unfortunately, I never got to see. Even though it's really easy to see them with branded fusion, because you can dump this.
And
then you can grab this.
Activate from deck,
And then for the Spell Trap removal, I ran the 1 Harpies, and then the 3 Cosmics. I don't know if I would switch these out with Twin Twisters, but it is definitely something to consider because you can discard something, maybe proc an effect such as Tragedy or Chain, and you get a pop 2 instead of pop 1. So it's definitely something to consider. And then for traps, I run the the 1 red reboot in case someone debarriered me, or if I was just playing a heavy trap matchup. And then for the last 3, 3D barrier. If in case I'm playing up against any extra deck base that's not a link based deck, I could just debarrier them and then just continue my plays. Because this just shuts down like a lot of the meta right now. It's gonna cut off Sword Soul Tinny. It's gonna like Sword Soul Tinny,
any branded
Punk, Virtual World, any branded builds. So it's really, really good. So my matchups, I have them all wrote down. So I placed 93rd out of 258 people. I lost round 1 to Flunder. I lost round 2 to Therion. I won round 3 to Pendulum Magician Odd Eyes. And then I lost to DDD, which is the guy who stole my Albaz from me. I lost to Altergeist because I didn't know what they did, and I think they just outpaced me by returning a monster to my hand every time, or deck, like every turn. And then I faced Salamangreat, and I won Salamangreat. I lost to Virtual World Punk because they made Calamities on me.
Oof.
And I think the guy was slow playing a bit, if I'm being honest. And like a judge was like right there looking at me, and I'm just sitting there being like, "You gonna like judge? You gonna like call him on this?" Because the judges were calling people on stuff as they walked by and seen it. Our friend Draven got a warning for him and his opponent repairing their own game state without calling a judge over. Because Draven accidentally activated a card he couldn't activate, and they were both like, "Oh, we can just rewind it back, and it's fine." So they didn't even call the judge, and the judge is like, "I'm going to give you a warning for an illegal activation." even though they were like, oh, I like immediately after, like nothing happened in between.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, I can't actually activate that, and they just fixed the game state. And if anything, Draven's opponent would have came out with more knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I think Draven used stuff in his hand because he had to use the polymerization card and probably a monster in his hand. So if anything, his opponent came out with more knowledge. But Draven got a warning for cheating for attempting to activate a card he couldn't activate, even though they resolved it right after the fact. And then I faced a Invoke Shadal Dogmatica player, which I did win. I only ever saw him activate Alistair, and I would like negate it.
Oh, you didn't have the invocation in hand already?
Nope.
Oh, bad play.
I would even activated Meltdown, and I was like, yeah. And then it was like summon Alistair, and I was like, okay. Search invocation? No.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's my turn. I didn't really know he was playing Dogmatica Shadals until Draven told me that it was also the person he faced.
Oh, okay. You only saw the invoke
So
stuff.
I only saw the invoke stuff.
Okay.
I think he did wind up having the invocation one game, but it wasn't enough to really do anything. And then my last match was a mirror match against Branded Albaz. So I went 3-6, 9 rounds. This was also the fastest regionals I've ever been to. We started real fast, and I think it's because we were able to pre-register. We had a lunch, which we've never had. The one that we went to a few months ago didn't have a lunch, and it also started around like 1 instead of starting like at 10. And we didn't leave very late as a result. We left this time at like 7:30.
That's pretty good.
So we left super early. It was overall, it's a really good event. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully I can do better next time. Until next time, guys.
All right. Team
Peace.
ShakySnake, peace out.